Russell Barnett Ford of Tullahoma is proud to present The Shasteen Show from London's in downtown Tullahoma. Brought to you by Southern Community Bank, Rogers Insurance Group, and Mission Collision. Now, here are your hosts, Scott Shasteen and Ken Kelly.
It is a beautiful autumn afternoon in southern Middle Tennessee. Welcome into this week's edition of The Shasteen Show. We've got it all. Baseball, football, basketball, you name it, we've got it. It's October. Football season's half over.
That's hard to believe.
College football season's about half over. Can you believe it?
It's hard to believe, but the playoff picture is coming into focus.
It did come into focus Friday night. The Tullahoma Wildcats clinched a home playoff berth. I've got the playoff scenarios after week 8. 3 weeks left in the regular season. Tullahoma off this week. Bye week. Finish up with Giles County at home and Maplewood on the road for the region championship. Your prediction for Tullahoma looking a lot better than mine.
Yeah, but now mine's even looking bad because they've already hit that 7-win mark that I projected at 7-3. Man,
but that's good.
Yeah, it is good. It's great. 7 in a row. Hey, that's awesome.
In the top of the 7th inning in Atlanta, the Dodgers lead the Braves 3-2. Dodgers have 2 men on, nobody out. Braves are struggling to stay alive. The Astros finished off their sweep today, so the defending world champions are back in. Yeah,
they are back in. So it's going to be tough to unseat them. The Astros are going to be tough. They swept right through the Indians, and really, hopefully the Braves can come back and win this. They're down to their final 9 outs. Looks like just may have got a catcher's interference on the Braves catcher there in the 7th inning. But it's 3-2. They're hanging in there. They got a shot.
Predators have started out their season 2-0. They're on a roll early. 82-0 still out there for the Preds.
Yeah, so you said baseball, football, basketball. Now the Preds, they've started up, man. It's crazy.
They have started up.
I don't know how we're going to have to expand this show, Scott. 1 hour is just not long enough.
NBA starts next week.
Your Lakers, I know you're excited.
Hey.
Probably the most anticipated season you've had as a Laker fan since the Magic Johnson glory days, right?
No, not even close.
But
certainly since Kobe Bryant retired.
Oh, there you go.
High school football, though. Let's start with that. Tullahoma beats Lawrence County 31-6 Friday night in one of the strangest games either one of us have ever seen. I don't know that I've ever seen a team completely dominate a game with special teams. Now, Tullahoma's defense was played solid. It's not that the defense didn't play well. They did. They've been consistent all year. But the complete domination by special teams, kicking game right on target, return game outstanding. Kobe Burks, 2 punt returns for touchdowns. Jacoby Thomas, a kickoff return for a touchdown. You just don't play special teams any better than Tullahoma did Friday night.
No, we talked about it on the drive back from Lawrence County. Tullahoma's 7th win in a row, a big one, clinches home field the first round at least for the Wildcats, with bigger games to come here looming in the future. But yeah, you get 3 kick returns for touchdowns. The only flaw was the Jacoby Thomas attempted scoop and score, but you could just see how hungry he was to get his hands on the football on that one fumble, that if he finally got it in his hands, that he could quite possibly take it to the house, and he did just that. Race Marin boomed a couple of towering punts in that game. The coverage was excellent. We hit a pretty decently long field goal in that game, executed all our extra points. I mean, it was a near flawless game in the special teams, and one of the best special teams efforts I've seen in a long time. Really, certainly from Tullahoma, probably the best ever.
For those that are home from work already, half of the Southeast just clicked over to Fox News because the Dodgers just hit a 3-run homer, now lead the Braves 6-2 in the top of the 7th inning. So, Tullahoma's at their break. 7-1, won 7 games in a row. The Wildcats are the number 8 team in the state of Tennessee in the Class 4A Associated Press rankings this week. Got a week off. The young men right now, if they follow their coach's orders, they're not even thinking about football. They're getting in a little conditioning, couple of days this week, but they're not even thinking about football this week. Some are on holiday and doing whatever. School's out. But there's some things that the Wildcats need to clean up if they hope, first of all, to challenge Maplewood for the Region 4-4A title, but then to take advantage of that home playoff game and, play another playoff game and maybe a third playoff game. If the Wildcats hope to do those things, that offense has got to get straightened out. Tullahoma has become a one-dimensional team on offense. The passing game has just not looked good over the last 2 or 3 weeks. One-dimensional with that running game behind Bryson Korn, and now that they're finally getting the ball in Kobe Burke's hands, those guys are explosive, and Tullahoma can beat Lawrence County without that passing game, but the Wildcats are not going to beat Maplewood without a passing game. They got to get that on track.
Well, when Tullahoma's their best, they're balanced, and you're right. Quite frankly, Friday night, the only phase of the game Tullahoma lost, I thought, was really up front with the defensive front for Lawrence County versus Tullahoma's offensive line. Multiple tackles for loss. We really couldn't get Bryson Korn going in that running game. Tried to get him established. He had a few good runs, but not as much as what we were accustomed to the previous 6 games in that big winning streak that we put together. But we need balance offensively in the pass game, a nice mixture of run and the pass. I think it's been a little bit by design, though. I think Tullahoma, just as you mentioned on the telecast Friday night, or the broadcast Friday night, that Tullahoma knows they have superior athletes. Let's wear them down with defense, run game, and special teams. I think you're going to have to see Tullahoma go more to the air, and I think they'll work on that passing game here during the bye week, no doubt about it, and blocking up front.
Well, and we certainly know Ben Fulton is capable of, he had a game, 4 touchdown passes. So he had some good games early in the year when they were more balanced. And so, it's hard to get inside the coaches' heads, but I just think to advance in the playoffs, to have a chance to win this region championship, Wildcats are going to just have to be more balanced.
Yeah, and it's last year we outscored teams. This year the defense has been the precipice of the strength of the team. The backbone of the team has been that defense, and really that secondary. I would be interested if it's even out there of. I would say that this Tullahoma team may have more pass interceptions than any team I've ever seen. It's up approaching 13, 14, 15 up in that range, and they still have 2 more regular season games to go. But 7 different guys in the secondary with interceptions. You got to be pleased with that. I know it starts up front. We put pressure on the quarterback, and they threw one up for the grabs in the end zone, which was a key interception in that game that we made early that I thought was a turning point in the contest, not to mention the special return touchdowns on the punts.
Yeah, winning that turnover margin is critical. So high school football, let's sort of get a feel for where we're at. Giles County beat Marshall County in a game we listened to the very end of it. Giles County had 3 2-point conversions to come from behind and beat Marshall County Friday night. Tullahoma plays Giles County a week from Friday. Maplewood shut out Nashville Overton. Nolensville hammered Lincoln County 42-3. Franklin County beat Columbia. It's a big win for the Rebels. Shelbyville just wiped out Summit. Huge win for the Golden Eagles. And Page, no problem with White County. So let's take a look at Region 4-4A and see where we're at now. Tullahoma and Maplewood. Tullahoma's 4-0 in the region. Maplewood's 3-0. So the Wildcats, I guess, technically have the lead right now. But this week, Thursday night, Nolensville at Maplewood. Now, keep in mind, if Nolensville beats Maplewood, then, things could end up a 3-way tie. It doesn't change the deal between Maplewood and Tullahoma. The winner has that tie break. But if Nolensville beats Maplewood and Maplewood was to turn around and beat Tullahoma, now you've got a 3-way tie. So you get into some tiebreakers there with overall record and that sort of thing, record against teams with a winning record. Tullahoma's not going to hold up real well in that sort of comparison. But so there's still some chances for some other things to happen here. Big game Thursday, Nolensville at Maplewood. Marshall County plays at Spring Hill as well. That'll move the needle a little bit in Region 4-4A. Right now, though, if the playoffs started today and Tullahoma won the region, they would host DeKalb County in the first round. Maplewood would host Macon County in the first round. Nolensville would travel to Livingston Academy, and Marshall County would head to Stone Memorial. Now, Marshall County sitting right on the edge here. If Spring Hill could get themselves together and win a home game Friday night against Marshall County, the Spring Hill Raiders could propel themselves up into the playoff hunt. I still got to believe, though, Stone Memorial, by the way, got beat Friday night for their first loss of the season. I still think all 4 Region 4 4A teams win in the first round of the playoffs. I don't care who it is and where they go.
Yeah, that would be 2 straight years, and I would be pulling for Region 4 4A for the sweep. So I think it's very possible as well. I agree with you.
Also want to glance real quickly at Region 5 5A because that's beginning to take shape as well. Shelbyville and Page have still got to play. They play in Week 10, the next to the last week of the regular season, and right now it looks like the winner of that game is going to win Region 5 5A, and the loser is going to finish second. It's amazing how many times in high school football region championships are decided in the last week or two of the season. It's uncanny how many of those best games end up being the last game or the next to last game of the year. Summit right now is third in Region 5 5A, and Franklin County holding down that number 4 spot. Now, Franklin County plays Lincoln County, and that is in 2 weeks. That could very well be for that final playoff spot in Region 5 5A, that Franklin County, Lincoln County game. That's the way that is shaping up. Now, Franklin County still got to play Shelbyville. Lincoln County still got to play Summit. But right now, that's how it's looking for that final spot.
Do you give either one of those teams? We've seen both. Tullahoma, handled both rather easily. Do you have a favorite in that game?
Yeah, I like Lincoln County in that. I like Lincoln County having a chance to beat Summit. Also, they've still got to play Summit, so I think Lincoln County's got a chance to beat Summit. Lincoln County's got a chance to finish third in that region, and Franklin County does too. They've still got Shelbyville, though, so it can go a lot of ways, but still going to match up with Gallatin Beach, Hillsboro, and Hillwood. That is a tough Region 6 5A to match up with.
Sure is.
And then down in Region 5 1A, just real quickly, Cornersville has pretty much wrapped that thing up. Mount Pleasant sitting in second. Huntland and Moore County are tied for third. Guess who plays this weekend in Huntland?
Huntland and Moore County.
It's the Majors Bowl.
There you go.
Shirley Majors, Johnny Majors, Lynchburg.
Your kinfolk.
Went to Huntland, my kinfolk. It's the Majors Bowl this week down in Huntland, Tennessee. Moore County at Huntland. You can hear that game on Whiskey Country, 105.1 FM. Let's see. On the Duck, 93.9 this week. Siegel is at Oakland. The Patriots should have no problem with that. And no football Friday night on the Rooster, 101.5. So, hey, do what we do and go do something else. If you're a Tullahoma football fan, go do something else. Went to see A Star Is Born. When did I go? Saturday night. With Bradley Cooper and Lady Gaga. It's actually a great movie. Great original music. All the music in it is original. Was shocked at how good Lady Gaga did in the acting part. Of course, if you've ever heard her scaled down, just singing without all the hoopla, she is a great voice and a great songwriter. And Bradley Cooper held his own. He does some singing in this thing.
Do I need to bump Celine Dion out of my top 10 and replace her with Lady Gaga? Is that what you're saying?
You need to bump Celine Dion out of your top 10 and replace her with Miss Piggy.
Man,
Who cares?
Miss Piggy.
Just replace her.
That's good.
With anybody. College football. What a Saturday. Just when you thought it may not be the best Saturday for college football, we had a great one. And, oh, yeah, the Titans. Yeah, remember the Titans? Remember what I said last week about the Titans? If you don't, I'm going to remind you. Come on down to London's. It's steak night. Man, they've got great deals on steaks. Those things are this thick. I mean, they're huge. Coldest beer in town, the best burgers in town, right downtown at the corner of Wall Street and Lincoln Street It's London's, driven by Russell Barnett Ford of Tullahoma. It's the Shasteen Show on 93.9 The Duck.
I'm working with a home buyer from Louisiana, and he asked me what type of internet access we have in Tullahoma. So I told him all about LightTube, and he said, "You're kidding me. There's fiber optics available in Tullahoma?" And I said, "Not only that, but it's great service, most reliable. You get to work with people in Tullahoma, and it's awesome." And he said, "People need to know in Tullahoma how lucky they are."
Have you heard the news? The Russell Barnett Automotive family has launched its new and improved website. That's russellbarnett.com. With over 1,000 new and pre-owned vehicles to choose from, then look no further than russellbarnett.com. Online service appointments, customer testimonials, and vehicle history reports, this website has it all. We are the largest Middle Tennessee family-owned dealership with 5 locations to choose from. russellbarnett.com, and why buy anywhere else?
Centrally located to the colleges, high schools, and middle schools it serves across southern Middle Tennessee, Sports Plus is also Tullahoma's only locally owned sports store with brands like Under Armour, Wilson, Rawlings, Majestic Athletics, and New Era baseball caps. Owner Joe Barstad has something for all fans and athletes alike, from pro and college apparel to your favorite hometown team. Sports Plus also works with the latest uniform trends and technology. Learn more at sportsplustellahoma.com.
You're watching The Shasteen Show, presented by Russell Barnett Ford of Tullahoma on LightTube Channel 23 and 93.9 The Duck. Now back to Scott and Ken at London's in downtown Tullahoma.
Along with Ken Keller, I'm Scott Shasteen. Welcome back to the Shasteen Show as we're headed toward mid-October, man. We're headed toward Halloween. What you gonna be?
I got to dress up as something on the show. I don't know. We got a couple more weeks of football left. Let's see.
You know what?
I'll come up with something creative.
You know,
we did a Halloween show last year.
You know, the worst thing that happened to you for Halloween costume was the firing of Butch Jones from the University of Tennessee. The best costume you can ever do now doesn't matter. You could dress up as Butch Jones, the Alabama intern, have a cup of coffee in your hand with Nick's cup or something on it.
Well, what do you think? Bring in like a Matchbox Mercedes and, put the gas in it and clean the windshields.
I like it. Clean the windshield on the Mercedes for Nick.
Yeah, on the Matchbox Mercedes.
How's Butch working out in Tuscaloosa?
I saw him on the sidelines Saturday working with the defensive backs. So maybe that's why they gave up 31 points.
I was fixing to say, you can expect some big plays coming in the defensive backfield here in the near future.
I think he's earning his $35,000 a year salary, though.
Have you gotten your Tennessee-Alabama tickets yet?
Not yet, man. No Tennessee fans are selling, man.
What's your Twitter follow?
At Love of Game KK.
That's LUV, Love of Game KK.
Yeah.
Somebody sell Ken some tickets. Make yourself
Hook
some
a brother
money.
up.
Make yourself some money off him. He'll pay pretty much anything for him.
Hook a brother up. Right?
Oh, me. What about those Titans? What about?
Well, I think you predicted it. Now, this is what I said last week. Then we're going to see what you said. I said this was going to be an ugly game. It's going to be low scoring, about 16-13, and the Titans was going to win. It ended up 13-12 Buffalo. So I got one of the scores right. Very disappointed in the Titans yesterday, but you predicted it.
Well, no, I didn't. What I said was that 2 weeks ago, the win over the Philadelphia Eagles could be a franchise-turning event for the Tennessee Titans. We may have seen the end of the old Titans and finally have turned the corner. Go back and watch it. Every word of it was wrong. I was wrong. It was wrong. Nothing like that happened. In fact, the Titans are exactly who we thought they were. They are who we thought they were.
I thought about that today. I said, what are we going to say about the Titans? That's Dennis Green said
they
that,
are
right?
who we thought they were.
They are who we thought they were.
We had them, and then we let them off the hook.
Yeah.
Nick Williams had it right in his hands, Ken. The game-winning touchdown right in his hands. I knew the second he dropped that ball. That we were going to kick the field goal, but that we weren't going to win because you needed that touchdown. Buffalo was going to go down and kick that field goal. It was karma. You drop a wide open touchdown pass, you're going to get beat.
Yeah, and there were some great games in the NFL yesterday. I was at my uncle's 80th birthday celebration in Winchester, and my basic reaction when he dropped the touchdown pass was bless his heart. But other people in the room had other reactions. It was far more animated in the room than mine was.
Well, you're a kind-hearted person.
I mean, it was. I don't think I've ever seen a guy drop such an easy pass. I mean, he just lobbed it out to him, right? Bless his heart. That's all you can say.
So
Smash is not happy with it.
The story in the NFL through 5 weeks is still Mahomes, isn't it?
Oh yeah, definitely
undefeated
the MVP,
Kansas City Chiefs.
Yeah, the undefeated Kansas City Chiefs and the undefeated Los Angeles Rams. Those are your only two undefeated teams, and the Patriots seem to be making a move back up. But Philadelphia Eagles, they lost again yesterday. Super Bowl champions. Got to be concerned a little bit about the Eagles. They lose to the Minnesota Vikings, who were shut out by Buffalo, I think 22-0 last week. So how about them 1-4 Eagles?
No, the Vikings shut out Buffalo. Buffalo, the terrible,
That's right.
terrible Bills.
No. Buffalo shut them out.
For the first three quarters.
First three quarters, and then they scored. Okay. Yeah, I flip around. I'm playing
Whatever.
fantasy. Yeah, I'm playing fantasy football this year. So I got to admit, during the Titans game yesterday, I was watching Matt Ryan just lay an egg against the Pittsburgh Steelers. Pittsburgh blew them out like 47-14. I had Calvin Ridley and Julio Jones as my receivers, and I was just mad the whole game because he was on his back. Very disappointed in the Atlanta Falcons yesterday. Terrible effort.
So who do you think is the most disappointing team in the NFL this year?
I've got to say the Eagles right now at 1-4. I know Carson Wentz missed the first 2 or 3 games because of that ACL injury, but I've got to say just record-wise, I've got to say the Eagles definitely in the National League.
What do you think the odds are that the Rams and the Chiefs actually go to the Super Bowl?
Smash is saying no. I mean, right now the Chiefs to me look really good. I think they've got a good chance to beat the New England Patriots. In the NFC, I don't know who's going to knock off the Rams. I mean, I think right now the chances are pretty good that both of those teams could get there.
I think the chances that the Kansas City Chiefs reach the Super Bowl are 0. Andy Reid can't get to the Super Bowl. If he gets there, he sure can't win it.
Well, he can't even win a playoff game, much less two. Right now, they're in line for home field advantage. But I think they play the Patriots this weekend, so that's going to be a great game between the Kansas City Chiefs and the New England Patriots.
Yeah, asked the Tennessee Titans about going to Kansas City last year in the first round of the playoffs and beating the Chiefs.
You're right.
They fold in the playoffs. They Andy Reid's just something about him. He's the Marty Schottenheimer of the 2010s.
That's a great comparison.
Same thing,
man.
and he was a coach of the same team. He had some great Kansas City teams get the playoffs. First round gone.
Yeah. You got to worry a little bit about their defense, but man, the way they look, I was going to say most disappointing team. We talked about who I thought the Philadelphia Eagles. I think in the AFC right now it's the Jacksonville Jaguars. Those two teams right now are very disappointing to me because I thought Jacksonville would be the class of the AFC coming in, and I was wrong there.
Yeah, 2 or 3 weeks ago, I thought the Jags and the Rams were the teams to beat. Jacksonville has sort of gone backwards, but.
Especially the way Kansas City handled them yesterday. 30-14? They looked really good. Handled them very easily.
What's wrong with the Titans? How can they look? They got all new coaches. They got some new players, but they've got a totally different offensive scheme, allegedly. Totally different defense. Everything's different. Total revamp. Total restart. All that stuff. And they look exactly like they looked 2 years ago. Exactly.
I think they lack a game breaker on offense. Probably in the passing game, maybe in the running game as well. Running game's been very ineffective. I think they only ran 53 plays total in that game yesterday. They only had 4 possessions in the second half, did the Titans. But, I watched the Texans last night, and the Titans are ahead of them by 1 game, beat them. But you have a wide receiver like DeAndre Hopkins that can just take over a game. And they don't have a DeAndre Hopkins, a guy that you can just throw it to and he's going to go get it like Jerry Rice and Chris Carter did. That guy's phenomenal. They need a game breaker on offense, Scott, to me. I think the defense is pretty good. The special teams is pretty good. Mariota's serviceable. They just lack that explosive player that can change a game.
FYI, nobody has a DeAndre Hopkins but the Texans.
He's a bad man.
That last play
Yeah.
was one of the greatest single football plays I've ever seen, right?
Yeah.
3 spins, unbelievable body control. He's holding that ball out, and then he brings it in and he holds it. Just phenomenal.
And Deshaun Watson, I mean, watch that guy over the next 5 years. To me, he's the best young quarterback in the game. You know, he can do it with his legs. He can pass it. Came off that ACL. He took some shots last night down around the goal line by the Cowboys, 3 or 4 knockout shots. Gets right back up, throws the ball to the ref. Really hurt my feelings. I had him as my fantasy quarterback. He should have had about 4 touchdowns last night against my Cowboys.
I thought you were going to say you had the ref as your fantasy ref.
But what about Jason Garrett? You know, you talk about teams struggling. What about the Dallas Cowboys? Disappointing every year. That's my team, 2-3 this year. Jason Garrett goes for a 4th and 1 earlier in the game from the 41-yard line of the Texans and makes it. He gets in overtime, 5 minutes to go on the 41
Gutless.
spineless.
Gutless.
A spineless weasel, man. You don't go for that.
As soon as they lined up in punt formation, I said, game over.
Yeah, 4th and
Done.
1, and you punt the ball. That was a Mike Shula, from the Mike Shula playbook is where that came from, back in the old Alabama days with Mike Shula. Just a terribly conservative call. What are you doing, playing for the tie right there? I mean, I don't get it. Tie doesn't help you. Play for the win. You're on the other team's 41-yard line. Half the crowd's Cowboys fans at Texas, at the Texans field. What a converse. It's exact opposite of what Mike Vrabel has done with the Titans, of going for all those 4th downs against, was it Jacksonville?
Eagles.
The Eagles, converted 4 of them, and then this guy won't even go for 1 in overtime from the 41. And Buffalo did the same thing. They went from their own 41. Buffalo did and lost, but those players for Buffalo respects Frank Reich a lot more than the Cowboys players do Jason Garrett and the Cowboy fans right now. I'd say Jason Garrett, it's time to go. Jerry put him on the road. GoFundMe page, Jason Garrett, it's time to go for the Dallas Cowboys, just like it is Auburn fans putting out GoFundMe page to get rid of the Gus Bus at Auburn.
You know who loves Jason Garrett like it was his own son, though? Jerry Jones. He loves him some Jason
man.
Garrett.
I don't get it, man.
That was coaching malpractice.
It was.
That punt was coaching malpractice.
I agree, man. It's just like, what are you doing? That's pitiful. Coach your team to win.
Enough of that pro football talk. The Predators are 2-0, man. The rest of this show is going to be hockey. No, I'm kidding.
Smashed with his NHL predictions for the season.
They went to New York. They beat the Rangers, and they beat the Islanders. That's the New York sweep right there. Next game is Tuesday. Got to be home by now, don't they?
Yeah, against Calgary.
Against the Flames from Calgary. So Predators home Tuesday night with that 2-0 record. I'll say it again before we take our break here. The Predators are going to win the Stanley Cup this year. They're going to be world champions of the National Hockey League.
There you go.
Our man Smash is going to get an opportunity at some time during the next year to touch that cup. All right? It's going to be in Nashville. You know, they'll display it all kind of places. He's going to get a chance to touch the Stanley Cup.
Who are they going to beat, Smash? Who's going to beat in the finals? You get one prediction for the show.
Did he predict they were going to win the Stanley Cup? I thought that was me.
That was him.
It'd be hard to say.
Are they going to do it? Do you agree with him?
I really hope so.
Ken, you're having a conversation.
ain't saying he hopes.
You're having a conversation on radio with a guy who doesn't have on a microphone.
Yeah,
so it doesn't make
hear
for
him.
compelling radio.
Yeah, so he says maybe. He's normally confident.
That's
He's
okay.
not quite as confident as you are, but
That's
all
okay.
right.
If everybody picks it, then it's not
That's right.
a big pick.
A shock the world pick.
I was first.
He always
Predators.
makes the shock the world pick.
And you know how many of them are right?
You get a few of them
Almost none. College football is on the agenda for the rest of the show. We begin with what happened last weekend. Very interesting. We'll finish up with what we think will happen this coming weekend. Very interesting. Driven by Russell Barnett Ford of Tullahoma, live downtown at London's. It's the Shasteen Show on 93.9 The Duck.
Centrally located to the colleges, high schools, and middle schools it serves across southern Middle Tennessee, Sports Plus is also Tullahoma's only locally owned sports store with brands like Under Armour, Wilson, Rawlings, Majestic Athletics, and New Era baseball caps. Owner Joe Barstad has something for all fans and athletes alike, from pro and college apparel to your favorite hometown team. Sports Plus also works with the latest uniform trends and technology. Learn more at sportsplustullahoma.com.
Do you need more? More golf, hunting, or camping? More basketball, soccer, and baseball? Do you need more football? Do you just need more sports? LightTube's digital sports tier has more sports. Offering 12 additional sports channels for only $3 additional a month? What are you waiting on? Call 455-4515 and get more today.
Have you heard the news? The Russell Barnett Automotive family has launched its new and improved website. That's russellbarnett.com. With over 1,000 new and pre-owned vehicles to choose from, then look no further than russellbarnett.com. Online service appointments, customer testimonials, and vehicle history reports, this website has it all. We are the largest Middle Tennessee family-owned dealership with 5 locations to choose from. russellbarnett.com, and why buy anywhere else?
You're watching The Shasteen Show, presented by Russell Barnett Ford of Tullahoma on LightTube Channel 23 and 93.9 The Duck. Now back to Scott and Ken at London's in downtown Tullahoma.
Welcome back to the Shasteen Show on this Monday night, along with Ken Keller. I'm Scott Shasteen. You are invited to London's. Got a good crowd here, but there are seats available for you. It's steak night, man, and they've got some unbelievable deals. Come check it out. They'll cook it to order just like you want it with an ice cold beer. You just can't beat it. Top of the 8th, Dodgers lead the Braves 6-2. Atlanta 6 outs away from elimination. Still a great year.
I can't believe this. I'm up here at London's, and I'm looking at the TV, and Vern Lundquist is on here. They're interviewing Vern, Uncle Vern, man. Y'all got to get down here. This is awesome. We got the end of the Braves game. Watch the big comeback tonight. Come see Uncle Vern and catch the rest of our show here and eat a steak at London's.
All right, let's talk some college football. Alabama, Georgia, Clemson, Ohio State. Is there any doubt left that those are the top 4 teams in the nation? Or
No.
Is your deep, deep love of the Fighting Irish going to allow them to bump somebody?
I mean, that's what's going to happen. The SEC championship right now, I see 12-0 Alabama going against 12-0 Georgia. The loser out. Undefeated Notre Dame bumps them for the last spot. I think it's going to be SEC championship winner number 1, Ohio State, Clemson, and Notre Dame. That's going to be your 4 playoff teams right there.
So you think all those teams, Alabama, Georgia, Clemson, Ohio State, Notre Dame, are all going undefeated basically until the SEC championship game?
Yes. Yes.
I'll place any amount of money you've got.
I think
want to
just mark it down. We'll see who's going to beat them.
It never happens.
We'll see.
It never happens.
And that's going to be the big argument. Should the SEC championship game loser, who came in undefeated with 12-1, get in over a 12-0 Notre Dame that does not play for conference championship?
That won't
so
be
they
an
play
argument.
that extra game. So that's what's going to happen. But I think the committee is going to put Notre Dame in.
That won't be an argument. Notre Dame's going in.
Well, there you go.
It'll only be an argument in Athens.
Yeah. So Notre Dame had their toughest game left on their schedule. They play the USC Trojans. Big deal. They're going to win that. They got by Virginia Tech hurdle. Ohio State's on a roll. I don't think Shea Patterson and Michigan can beat them. I don't think Wisconsin can beat them. That's going to put them in. And that leaves Clemson. Who's going to beat them? The Miami Hurricanes? It ain't happening.
So you watched a little Miami, Florida State Saturday.
Old
I
school.
understand those teams don't like each other very much.
I really got intrigued by that game. There was a pregame brawl. It was like the good old days with Michael Irvin and Benny Blades and some of those guys. The old Miami Mark Rick trying to bring back the swag a little bit. You know, Florida State had a big lead in that game, and then Miami had a kickoff return after Florida State scored, and the kicker just jumped up and just grabbed the Miami Hurricane returner and just twisted his head threw him down to the ground. The whole bench for Miami ran over. After that happened, Miami got mad, and they came back from a big deficit and won that game. So congratulations to the Hurricanes. I'm wanting Florida State kind of to lose all of them. But I kind of enjoy watching Miami win. I want to see them come back a little bit to promise. I really like Mark Richt.
We respect Mark Richt.
Yeah, we do.
We think we know what kind of guy he is.
He is. He's my favorite coach besides the one Alabama's got. That's my favorite college football coach. I think he does a great job. He's a great person, great character person. It just don't fit. Mark Richt and the Thug Miami Hurricanes, man. I mean, it just don't fit, man.
That's a long time ago.
Yeah. You're right.
Florida State probably started that anyway.
Probably did.
I didn't see
Free
a second
Shoes
of it.
University.
I did watch what I think was the best game of the weekend, and that was Texas's win over Oklahoma. The Longhorns.
Are they back?
Tom Herman, man, that dude's got Texas turned around now. Second year. I think it's his second year. This Tennessee fans right now, this week, this is what you hang your hats on. Last year, the screaming that Tom Herman was the wrong guy, he was not a fit, couldn't get it done, came from little old Houston, all that stuff. You heard it all out of Texas. This year, Longhorns look good. They stayed obviously right with Oklahoma. They had them beat pretty soundly. Oklahoma came back, forced that overtime, but Texas looks strong. They look fast. They look big. They look like Texas is supposed to look. I think college football is better when Texas is good. I don't think it's better when Florida State's good, but I think it's better when Texas is good. And I think Texas. I'm not going to make a big statement like it's a franchise turning victory for Texas, but they're 4-1. They're moving up in the rankings. Oklahoma. How bad was that loss in Norman, Oklahoma? They fired their defensive coordinator today. Mike Stoops is gone from Oklahoma, and he's been there a while. So they took that Red River Showdown loss pretty serious in Oklahoma.
Oh yeah, they do, and it's it's not just from that one game. We saw how many points they gave up against Georgia. Georgia high-powered offense in the semifinal game last year. That game went into overtime. What was it, 51-45, something like that? Lincoln Riley's always going to put the offense and the running backs on the field. That's running back you at Oklahoma. They've selways got great Heisman Trophy contending quarterbacks and good wide receivers, big linemen and tight ends. But that defense, since them, was it the Selman brothers used to play there way back when they were really good. The magic of the defense is just not returned for the Sooners, and so it'd be interesting to see who he targets as defensive coordinator there.
So you're saying Boz is not walking through that door?
Boz, there you go. That's a possible replacement right there. I love the Boz, man. I'd like to see.
He's too busy making money on commercials right now. Yeah. He's all over commercial land.
Like the guy's hairdo, man. He's a cool dude.
6-2 Dodgers in the top of the eighth, 2 outs in Atlanta as the Braves try to stay relevant here and alive on 6:38 on this Monday night. All right, let's get into SEC football. Well, we had some teams flying high, and they came back down to earth this week.
Well, if you're an Alabama fan, it was the perfect weekend almost. Now, Notre Dame didn't lose, but Oklahoma did, and so did the Auburn Tigers and the LSU Tigers. So now the LSU's got a big game this week, but if they lose to Georgia, Alabama's 2 games up in the SEC West, and it's Katie bar the door. They're not going to lose 2 games. It's over if Georgia loses this week to LSU. But 3 games really intrigued me in the SEC this weekend, Scott. And Saturday night was awesome, man. Just watching 3 games. Man, I think I got to go see an orthopedic, man. I think I strained a ligament in my thumb flipping the Chandler remote controller around so much on Saturday. But,
when I'm so old.
Yeah.
That when I was a kid, my daddy used to rent. He'd go down to Walton's and get a couple more TVs.
Oh, man.
Plug them all in, set them side by side.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Watch all the games.
Yeah, that explains your
there was only 3 channels
love for football.
You only did that on New Year's Day when there's more than 1 game.
Yeah. So, of course, I watched the Alabama-Arkansas game at 11. Then
Wasn't that exciting?
Well, it was. I mean,
it was?
Tunga Viola. And I wrote this down. I've got to get this right here. This guy is putting up video game cheat code numbers. Okay? 23 incompletions on the season, 20 touchdowns. Think about that. 23 incompletions entire season, 18 touchdowns passing, 2 running. Heisman shoe-in with Kyler Murray losing at Oklahoma this week. I think Dwayne Haskins or Will Grier, those are the only 2 guys that can challenge him now for the Heisman if he stays healthy. But, yeah, I did enjoy watching that game.
And their numbers and their QBR and that sort of thing.
It's off the charts.
No comparison with Tua.
The guy's not even took a fourth quarter snap yet. It's amazing. Goes out early in the third quarter, and what Alabama's doing in the first half of games, just pulverizing, scoring, throw a 75-yard touchdown the first play of the game against Arkansas. Is there reason to concern Alabama's defense giving up 31 points? No concern.
Is he the first player to challenge the NFL rule that you got to be in college 3 years?
Well, he probably could. He possibly could. Man,
he'd be the first. He'd be the first overall pick.
I think he would. He would be the first overall pick this year as a sophomore, no doubt about it. And so it's going to be amazing to see how he does against the tougher competition coming up. But the guy's incredible, no doubt about it. And so then the 2:30 game, and this was an upset. Probably to both of us. I think we both picked the LSU Tigers. Dan Mullen's got it going with the Florida Gators. They're now 5-1. They upset, and I think it wasn't a fluke. Their defense balled out. They had a couple key interceptions. The quarterback for LSU finally coughed the ball up a couple times. Joe Burrow on some critical interceptions. Pick 6 in that game. Florida Gators 27, LSU 19. Big win. That's 2 in a row for 3 in a row. Tennessee, Mississippi State, and now LSU. Who's won a bigger 3-game gauntlet than that the last 3 weeks? That's pretty strong.
Unfortunately, Dan Mullen has a great history with quarterbacks, and I think he's starting to get Felipe Franks straightened out a little bit. Florida defense is what the Florida defense always is, but now they're beginning to play some offense.
Yeah, watch out. They had a lot of recruits. They're already trying to steal a couple from Alabama that over the weekend that may happen. Dan Mullen may flip them. And, of course, that was a great ball game there, in the swamp. And then the 7 o'clock game, the 6 o'clock upset game to me was the way that Mississippi State manhandled the Auburn Tigers. And we'll talk about it in the next segment. But I think this game sets up the perfect scenario for the Tennessee Vols, the outcome of this game and the fashion in which it was done. This was a big, big loss for the Auburn Tigers. They're second now in the SEC West. It's going to be rough on them to get up this week for the Tennessee Vols. We'll cover that in the next segment.
I hope so. And Kentucky.
Yeah, the Kentucky Wildcats. We both projected, I believe, A&M to beat Kentucky and knock them from the unbeaten ranks. Kentucky, just watching them, this is my first time really sitting down and watching them, just no passing game, man. The quarterback can run. Benny Snell's awesome. But in crunch time, they abandoned Benny Snell. I don't know what Stoops, the other brother Stoops was doing, but they blew an unbeaten season and let one get away because I didn't think Texas A&M played really good in that game. The defensive front did a good job on Benny Snell. I think he only had contained to 70 yards rushing, but still, you got to give the ball to your bell cow in the overtime. They lose that one. Tough loss for the Kentucky Wildcats there.
Yeah, the SEC took some tumble in the rankings. The rankings kind of got shook up a little bit. Any other games from last week or things that stood out to you?
Those, South Carolina against Missouri. I projected Missouri to win a high-scoring game in that one. They lose it 37-35. But South Carolina did it with a backup quarterback. Now, that really blew my mind. Jake Bentley out of the game. They put a backup out there and puts 37 on Missouri's defense. My goodness, well, how many points is Tua going to put up on that Missouri defense if a second-string South Carolina quarterback put that on Missouri's defense?
I'm glad to see somebody other than Tennessee lose to a backup quarterback. We've lost to quarterbacks who were wide receivers, and third string. But they were playing in as hard of a rain for a little while there in Columbia as I've seen teams play in a long time. Yeah. It was so hard, it washed the clock out. Yeah. They didn't even have a clock going.
Yeah,
and they just kept playing. You don't see that much anymore. They take an hour and a half break.
Yeah, and so a tough loss for Missouri, that hurts them. So we go back, I think right now the Florida Gators have took a clear step as the number 2 team in the SEC East behind the Georgia Bulldogs, and that's going to set up a big game here at the end of the month and the world's biggest cocktail party in Jacksonville between the Georgia Bulldogs and the Florida Gators. Now,
it's going to be for the SEC East title.
Yeah.
That's the way it's looking. All right. That's a look at last week's college football. Now we put our gaze forward. Ken seems to think Tennessee got some sort of new chance here against Auburn. Oh, by the way, a week from Saturday, the Tennessee-Alabama game, the third Saturday in October, 2:30, CBS. It was announced today. College football talk continues. Driven by Russell Barnett Ford of Tullahoma, live downtown at London's. It's the Shasteen Show on 93.9 The Duck.
Centrally located to the colleges, high schools, and middle schools it serves across southern Middle Tennessee. Sports Plus is also Tullahoma's only locally owned sports store with brands like Under Armour, Wilson, Rawlings, Majestic Athletics, and New Era baseball caps. Owner Joe Barstad has something for all fans and athletes alike. From pro and college apparel to your favorite hometown team, Sports Plus also works with the latest uniform trends and technology. Learn more at sportsplustullahoma.com.
Have you heard the news? The Russell Barnett Automotive family has launched its new and improved website. That's russellbarnett.com. With over 1,000 new and pre-owned vehicles to choose from, then look no further than russellbarnett.com. Online service appointments, customer testimonials, and vehicle history reports, this website has it all. We are the largest Middle Tennessee family-owned dealership with 5 locations to choose from. russellbarnett.com, and why buy anywhere else?
Think there's only one way to earn a college degree? It's time to explore your alternatives at Motlow State Community College. With our diverse degree options, a variety of course formats, and convenient locations, students can customize a college experience to fit any lifestyle, budget, or schedule. There are countless ways to get the education you need. Come explore them with us at Motlow State Community College.
You're watching The Shasteen Show, presented by Russell Barnett Ford of Tullahoma on LightTube Channel 23 and 93.9 The Duck. Now back to Scott and Ken at London's in downtown Tullahoma.
Welcome back to London's on this Monday night as we wind our way toward the finish line on this edition of the Shasteen Show. Talking a little college football and Tennessee and Auburn. Might as well start there. 11 o'clock game this week down on the plains. I don't know. You think Auburn's loss gives Tennessee more of a chance?
I think so. I think it definitely gives Tennessee a chance because Auburn is disheartened after that game. You know, it is a big loss. They were physically whipped by Mississippi State. Nick Fitzgerald ran all over them boys. In the process, Nick Fitzgerald broke Tim Tebow's all-time rushing record among quarterbacks in the SEC football. So, great game by Nick Fitzgerald. You know, maybe Tennessee sees that and just puts a couple of their running backs in the shotgun and runs them from the shotgun, you know, some. So they're going to have to establish the run, and they're going to have to take some deep shots. But a great linebacker for Auburn was lost maybe for the season. He had to be helped off the field, put no pressure on it. They were just defense for Auburn on the field for a long, long time in that football game, and they just didn't have the ball much. Can Tennessee possess the football, Scott, that much? I don't know. They've had an off week. I think it's the perfect scenario for the Vols. They're fresh. They had an off week. They're injury-free. Auburn got beat up last week at Mississippi State. They lost their second conference game. It's an 11 o'clock start. The stars are lining up. I think this game could be pretty close.
Well, what is it about Tennessee's offense that you've seen this year that would give you any indication that they had any ability to control the ball, control the clock, and keep Auburn's offense off the field?
I think Tyson Chandler with the ball in his hands on the edge, okay, if Tennessee's offensive line shows up, I think Dominique Wood-Anderson and Jawan Jennings and Marquez Callaway can possess the ball on rollouts and short passes. They do have to take their deep shots to loosen them up, but I think those guys can match up with Auburn. On the secondary is their weakness. The secondary for Auburn is their weakness. If you can block them up front, their defensive line is strong. So what do you got to do? You got to throw quick screens. You got to get the ball out of your quarterback's hand quick. You got to mix some wildcat in. You got to do some things in this game that you've not done offensively all season, including throw the ball vertical.
Well, it's time for Tennessee to open up that book.
It is.
I mean, if you're not going to open it up this week, just forget it. Just shut it down because, as Ken said, a little imagination on offense. The line should be getting better. We've established who the best one or two running backs are. Throw the ball downfield a little bit. If you're not going to use Jawan Jennings, just let him go on home.
Yeah, let him drink some Gatorade on the sideline.
Let him go ahead and get ready for the draft because that's where he's going. It's time. I mean, I don't care how young they are. I don't care how new everything is. None of that matters anymore. You got an opportunity to do something this week. You're not going to have an opportunity to do something next week. You better take advantage of the opportunity this week, but I don't think they do.
Well, I figured the point spread last week would be about 26, and had they won against Mississippi State and come in with one loss with more to play for, I think the line dropped about 8 points in this game. That's about what it dropped. It dropped to about 18 now. It's leveling out. You might say, well, Tennessee don't have a chance with 18 points. Well, it was 24-12 against Georgia fairly late in that game. They got to take care of the football. They only have one turnover. Cannot turn the football over. And I think they've just got to play keep away from that Auburn offense. Everybody wants to bag on Jared Stidham and say he's not a first-round pick now. Don't bite. The throws the guy made Saturday night against Mississippi State were on target. They just didn't have the ball enough.
So there you go.
That's their best way for them.
What's the line again?
18 points.
18 points. I think that's too many points. But at the same time, I would think that most everybody would look at that and say that's too many points.
Yeah.
Which tells me Auburn wins by 20.
Well, Southern Miss played Auburn 2 weeks ago at Jordan-Hare 24-13. I see a similar type score here. I think Tennessee's going to keep it within. I think they're going to beat the spread.
Auburn's not going to be up for this game.
Yeah, they're not.
They don't have any respect for Tennessee.
Too early, too.
Tennessee hasn't done anything to earn any respect.
It's the perfect. It's really the perfect storm for the Vols. I mean, it's. I was listening to Doug Matthews yesterday, and he was talking about it too. And I was already thinking it. Hey, it's the perfect storm for the Vols. It's the perfect timing to catch Auburn in this game.
So you flipped me. I'm going to take the Vols in that 18.
Yeah.
All right.
That sounds good. All right, so the next game we got here, though, this is the big CBS game, and this is the big. I've been having this circle for a few weeks. The undefeated Georgia Bulldogs, number 2 in the nation. This is their best chance to go down. They travel to Baton Rouge, 2:30 game, not a night game in Death Valley. Watch out, Georgia's 8.5-point favorites. That seems like a big line to me right there. It's in Baton Rouge.
Doesn't to me, especially with LSU coming off a loss, their first loss of the year. You talk about Auburn being sort of down, Auburn knowing their national championship hopes are over. They're not going to any playoff. I think LSU sort of knows theirs are too, and I think they might be down just a little bit as well.
Possibly, but look at the flip side of that. LSU came into that game last week with the best resume in college football. They defeated Miami Hurricanes and the Auburn Tigers. At that time, both top 10 teams. If they upset number 2 Georgia and they beat Alabama on later on in November, it's number 1, they control their own destiny, and they could be the number 1 seed in the playoffs with one loss if they run the table.
If ESPN calls me tonight when this show's over and offers me at 11 p.m. Eastern anchor spot on Sports Center, I might go.
Yeah, they've got about just as much chance of doing that. I think they're going to lose this game, but it's going to be close. I think they stay within the point spread on this. I think this is a field goal game right here. It's going to be a tough one. All right, so that's where I'm at on that one, and that's where you're at on that one. We both got LSU covering the spread, or you got Georgia?
No, I think Georgia covers it.
All right, so you got Georgia big in that one. Missouri at Alabama. Alabama 29.5-point favorites in that game.
Oh, Alabama.
You got Alabama in that one?
Why wouldn't I?
I think I've got Alabama in that game just based on what South Carolina put up on Missouri last week.
I mean, you think that Alabama defense isn't going to hear about this week allowing 31 points? My goodness. Nick's probably practicing them overtime this week.
Yeah, he probably is. For
Missouri picked the wrong time to be facing that Alabama defense.
Yeah, and just when we've been bragging about the Florida Gators, this is my upset alert game of the week. Watch out, Gators. You go to Nashville, only 10-point favorites. There's something wrong with that line right there. Vanderbilt just got steamrolled 41-13 at Georgia. You've won 3 big games in a row, including 8 points over LSU, and you're just favored by 10 in Nashville.
Yeah, a little bit.
Watch out.
A little bit of a trap game for Florida.
Mm-hmm.
You're exactly right. Flying high, thinking a little too much of themselves. Vanderbilt's just getting madder every week because they just can't do anything. They hate their home stadium, all that sort of thing. I think Vanderbilt covers that line. I don't think they beat Florida, but I think they cover that line.
Well, call me crazy. I'm going to do it. I'm going to pick my upset of the year. I did not pick them to beat Notre Dame, but I'm taking the Vanderbilt Commodores to upset the Florida Gators in Nashville this weekend, straight up.
You know, I just love that.
Yeah.
I would just absolutely love that. That would be fantastic.
What happens, man. All right, so we've got 2 more games. Texas A&M at South Carolina. Jake Bentley questionable there. That's a 2:30 game as well, but not CBS.
Well, we've seen what South Carolina can do without Jake Bentley.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes when you lose a really good player, other dynamics happen. They're going to be whipped up in Columbia for this one now. They're revived a little bit after Saturday's big win. I don't know, Texas A&M, I'm not sure. I mean, they're really good at home. I'm not really sure about this road trip to South Carolina. I think, what's the line?
It's South Carolina's favored in that game by field goal.
Yeah, I think South Carolina covers that and wins this game.
Well, it worked for us last week, didn't it? Against Missouri. I picked Missouri. You picked South Carolina. You said that 2-point spread. It was just about right on that. Yeah, you said you called
you
that
say
one perfectly.
So. I don't remember what I did this morning.
I'm going to take Texas A&M. I like their front 4, their front 7 in that game. I think they're going to put pressure on, and I think they've got a quarterback that's athletic enough to score points. I'm going to take Jimbo again. So last game, this is an out-of-conference game. Ole Miss against who they got? Arkansas. No, that's a conference game. Ole Miss favored by 7.5 at Arkansas. That's a kind of a tricky one too.
You know, Arkansas is getting better. You just don't. To me, Arkansas and Tennessee in the same boat. Okay, they started out pathetic, 2 worst teams in the league easily. They're getting a little better, but you're not really seeing it because when you get in the SEC, you're just playing really good teams every week. But I don't know. I'm afraid the bottom's about to fall out for Ole Miss. It's tough to sustain that energy when you know you're not going bowling and stuff.
Yeah.
That high-powered offense, to me, that line ought to be 20.
Yeah.
And it's
something's
7.5
up on that line right there.
So I think everybody would take Ole Miss because the line's so low.
Yeah.
I'll go with the Hogs, and I'll take my 7.5.
I think you've just talked me into that one,
I'll take my 7.5.
You talked me into that one. I was going to take Ole Miss, but the more I think about it, they put up 31 against Alabama. They're home. Something stinks on that line. Give me the Razorbacks.
Remember, no Tullahoma football this week. The Wildcats are enjoying their bye week. On this very station, 93.9 The Ducks. Siegel at Oakland will begin at 7 o'clock. On Whiskey Country 105.1, Moore County is at Huntland. That's the Majors Bowl. You Tullahoma fans, you don't have anything to do Friday night, go down to Huntland, Tennessee, and check out Moore County and the Hornets. Braves trail 6-2 in the top of the 9th. Their great season is just about over. That's going to do it for us. From London's, for Dave and Smash and Ken, I'm Scott. Be good to each other.
The Shasteen Show, presented by Russell Barnett Ford of Tullahoma and brought to you by Southern Community Bank, Rogers Insurance Group, and Mission Collision, is a presentation of Bowman Media Company and 93.9 The Duck. The show is taped before a live audience at London's in downtown Tullahoma, Monday nights at 6 p.m. Come join us for cold beer and Tullahoma's best burgers. Thanks for watching The Shasteen Show on LightTube Channel 23.